Okay, hello everyone. This is the chapter 2, test 1 preview. First problem here is a graph is given to you, and then you're gonna need to find the intercepts of this graph. So the intercepts are where the graph either touches the x-axis or the y-axis, but we usually have the habit of giving only one value, but I want you to know that the intercept of a graph in the coordinate system should be an ordered pair. Now, in MyOpenMath, they only require you to give the x value for an x-intercept or the y value for a y-intercept. On a test, for example, since this is a test review, I want to warn you that if you do not give me an ordered pair in the form x, y like this, I will not give you credit. So you need to give me an intercept, which means an x coordinate and a y coordinate. That means the point or the ordered pair at which the graph intercept the x or the y axis. So that means if it's an x-intercept, that means y equals 0, and then you will find a value that is exactly on the x-axis. For example, this one here, so you would have x equals -5 and x equals -1. So I take exactly the values where we have the intercept, the touch with the x-axis, and that gives me two ordered pairs. One is -5, x equals -5, y equals 0. And the second one is x equals -1, y equals 0. So I had two x-intercepts. Also, the y-intercept will be the exact point where the graph touches the y-axis. In this case, you see how we are far away from the x-axis, and then we are exactly on the y-axis, which means that x, in this case of the y-intercept, the x is 0, and the y would be the exact value at which the graph touches the y-axis, which is in this case -6. So we have an ordered pair that is x equals 0, y equals -6. So x equals 0, y equals value is a y-intercept, y equals 0, and x equals value. When I say value, can be 0 as well, but can be any other value. But in the case of the x-intercept, the y is always 0. In the case of a y-intercept, the x is always 0. And then you will find the y value in the y-intercept and then the x value for the x-intercept. But it's always going to be required on a test for me that you give your intercepts in ordered pairs, which means a value for x, a value for y, in parentheses, separated with a comma sign. Let's do another problem of the type. Same thing, I'm going to identify where the graph touches the x-axis. So the values here, you can see we are exactly on the x-axis, so y equals 0. And then you would find x equals, there are three of them, x equals -3, x equals -1, and then x equals +1. +1. So we will have 3 x-intercepts, x equals -3, y equals 0, x equals -1, y equals 0, and x equals 1, y equals 0. And if we did not have any connection, any intersection between x and y, I mean the y-axis, the x-axis, and the graph, then you would say no x-intercept. In this case, we have 3. Y-intercept in this case, where the graph touches the y-axis, x equals 0. So that means we'll look for that and think it's -3. So y equals -3. So we have just one y-intercept, x equals 0, y equals -3. Okay. Now we have the third problem where we have the function y equals the y equals -5 absolute value of x minus 1. First thing they want me to give the values for this, the y values for x equals -3, -2, -1, 0, 1, 2, 3. And having these values, you can find a way to see the pattern of the graph and then sketch the graph later in this coordinate system. So to do that, you don't have to plug in every time. You can use your graphing calculator. So let's see how the graphing calculator would work in this case. We will use this graphing calculator, and I already typed the function, but let me do it again so you can see how it works, because this graphing calculator that I have on my iPad will not be very different from the menu that you would use on your graphing calculator like this one. Okay, so this is a TI-84, TI-84 plus CE, but TI-83, TI-84, or TI-84 plus, all of these calculators would be a perfect fit for this class. And this one on my app, on my iPad, is a TI-84, so we can use it. First, if you are looking for a function viewing, when I say viewing, it may be a table, it may be the graph of the function. You always have to type this function. So to type a function on your graphing calculator, you would see on the left top, the button y equals, that's where you start. You obviously need to turn your calculator on. Over here, turn it on, and then over here you would push the button and make sure you clear, because you are trying to graph a function. If there was any other function already typed in the calculator, then it will also graph it, and then it will give you a graph that is not what you want. So make sure you clear before you start typing. So, and then so on, you would follow the same button that we have in this will be the same that I touch to graph this function. So let me go ahead and type my y equal, and there was something already here. So let me go ahead and clear my calculator. The clear button would be here. Let me see, clear. Okay, clear is underneath of the up, left, right button. So let me clear on it. I clear it. Now I can start typing. First, when you start with a negative sign, you don't want to use the actual negative sign. You don't want to use this one. You want to use the one starting with a negative sign. You always want to start with the bottom, and that is in parentheses, because it would think that you are subtracting something if you don't do that. So this one, and then 5, absolute value. All the functions will be found under math, M-A-T-H, so math, and it gives me all the options, but I don't see absolute value. I may want to go to the num, N-U-M, so we can see if there is more function here. I see the first one is ABS, that's the absolute value function. So since it's 1, I can push the enter button, or I can touch 1 on my calculator. That will select the option 1 on this list. So enter. We had 2 options. We could hit the 1 button or the enter. I hit the enter button. It will give you the same result if you hit the 1 button. And then now I need X. Now on your graphing calculator, you have 2 options to get X. You can push the alpha button, alpha, and then the letter on green would appear if you push any button that corresponds to the letters in green. Or this button that has XT theta N. This button gives you X if you push this button. If you want to go quicker with X, then you just push the button that has all the letters with comma sign. It'll give you X exactly. But if you want to another letter, or you want X, you can also click the alpha button and then search for the green letters underneath of the buttons, and then it'll give you exactly what you want. And then now I'm going to hit the X up here. It gives me my X, and I move it outside because the rest of my expression is outside of the absolute value. And then minus 1. Okay, so now I have the expression typed. Then I need the table. If I needed the graph, I would push the graph button, which is the right button on the top right button on your calculator. The very top right button is the graph. It's the same on my calculator right here. And also, if I want table, then you see how the table is in blue, and all the comments in blue will be found with you after you hit the blue button that has the second on it. So if I want a comment in blue, I need the blue button to be pushed first. If I want a comment in green, I need the green button to be pushed first. So I'm gonna need the table now. So push the second, you see how it's pushed, and then I can hit the graph button, but the table is in blue. The blue comment is what's going to respond. And then now I click that, it gives me the table. And as you can see, for X equals -3 is 16, X equals -1 is -2 is 11, and so on. You can see the values. So we're going to enter these values in the table that we have on the problem. So that's going to be -16, -11, -6, -1, -6 again. You can see how -1 and +1, they have the same output, and -2 would have the same output also, and then -16, same as -3. So now what you can want to for absolute value function, you may want to have only 3 values on the coordinate system, and it'll give you the pattern. You know, the absolute value function is either a V like this or a V like this. And then with 3 values only, with 3 points on the coordinate system, it's easy for you to see the pattern. So I'm going to sketch these values only, the 0, 1, -1, and then follow the pattern. So 0, -1, X equals 0, Y equals -1 will go here, and -1, -6, -1, -6, 1, -6, and then I can connect the dots to follow the pattern just like it is here, and then we'll do the same thing for the other pair. So that gives me the other value. Okay, so then I know that it keeps going, so I put these arrow signs to show that this graph continues, and then now we can that's a graph, and that's it for this problem number 3. Okay, so now let's see the next problem, number 4. Let's read this problem. It says Chris invested $37,250 in 2 separate investment accounts. One of the accounts earned 2% annual interest, while the other account earned 8% annual interest. If the combined interest earned from both accounts over 1 year was $1,840, how much money was invested each account? Now, you have to understand they give you 2 values. Now, you have, anytime you're reading a problem, you need to make sure that you understand the values, the role of each number that is given to you. So this first value is the total amount invested in the 2 accounts, right? And then this is the interest earned from the first account, and this is the percent of interest earned on the first account. But you have to understand that the percentage of interest is from the amount invested in this account. Now, you calculate the percent. So if you have invested $5 in this account, so the interest you earn at the end of the year is 2% of this $5, which we don't know yet. We don't know how much invested in each account. We only know how much invested in one account, right? I mean, in the total, all of them combined, all right, which is 37,250. And then we know also that 8% of the amount invested in this account that is earned by the end of the year. So that said, we want to make sure that we okay, so here they say the total amount earned from both accounts at the end of the year is 1,840. Now, let's say that I would call X the amount invested in the account that earns 2%. So let X be the amount invested in the account that earns 2%. Okay, well, then if X is the total invested in this account that earns 2%, and we know the total invested in both accounts is 37,250, then the total, the amount, so the amount invested in the account that earns 8% will be 37,250 minus X, right? Because it was only separated, the 37,250 was only separated between the two accounts. So if I have X for one, then the total minus X would be for the other one. And we know that the interest earned for 1 year was 1,840. We know that 2% of X will be the part earned from the 2% account, and 37,250 minus X times 0.08 would be the part earned for the second account. Now, when you combine them, it'll give you the total. So we say that we said here that X 0.02 times X is what the first account 2% earns for the year, plus 37,250 minus X times 0.08 is what the second account earns for the year. That equals the total earned by both accounts. That's 1,840. And then we have the equation. We distribute. Obviously, we distribute because we want to make sure that this we solve for X. We want to solve for X, which is the amount earned by the 2% account. So we will have this new equation, 0.02X plus 2,000. I just multiply 0.08. Let's multiply 0.08 by 37,250. That gives me 2,980 minus 0.08x equals 1,840. And then now we can simplify. We can simplify. That is that will be negative 0.06x plus 2,980 equals 1,840. We will subtract the 2,980, that's negative 0.06x equals negative 1,140. And then if we divide both sides by negative 0.06, x equals negative 1,140 divided by negative 0.06. And then x is equal to 19,000. 19,000 is what was invested in the first account that earns 2%, because that's what we called X in this problem. So that's 19,000 that was invested in the first account that earns 2%. And then we know that that's X. We know that 37,250 minus X will give us the amount invested in the second account that earns 8%. So let's do it. We're gonna have 37,250 minus 19,000. So that will give me 18,250. So that 18,250. 250. Okay, so that is 18,250. And then let's try to add them to see if both of them will give you the total amount that was 37,250. So we do 19,000. We're gonna do 19,000 plus 18,250, right? 250, and then enter. That is 37,000. That's 37,250, which is the total amount that we already had for this. So that verifies our equation. Okay, next problem here, number 5. We have this problem here. It says after 90% reduction, you purchase a new TV on sale for $218. What was the original price of the television? Round to the nearest cent. So the original price of the TV is what this problem wants you to solve for. So let's call X the original. Let X be this original price. So that means we would have X minus, because you do a reduction, 0 point reduction, right? After the reduction, that's what you have. X minus 0.9x, you do a 90% reduction. That means you take away 90 divided by 100 times x equals the price that you bought the TV for. So that's $218. So combine this, that's 0.1x equals $2,018. If you divide by 0.1, you would have X equals $2,180. So the price of the TV was $280. With the 90% reduction, you paid it for $218. So that is $2,180. And then problem number 6, it says including a 9% sales tax. So that means combined, a hotel charges $167.75 per night. It says find the nightly rate of the hotel before tax. It says round to the nearest cent. So if we call X, whatever they want me to solve for, that's what I call my variable. So X, we call X let X be the hotel nightly rate before tax. The hotel nightly rate before tax. So, and then we had the 9% tax would be 0.09x, and then combined the nightly rate before tax and the tax, we pay, or somebody paid, $167.74. So that means combined, we're gonna have X plus 0.09x equals 167.74 combined. So then that's 1x. So 1x plus 0.09x will be 1.09x equals 167.74. And then if you divide both sides by 1.09, that will give you 1.09, 167.74 divided by 0.09. That's 1.6. That's 1.167.74 divided by 1.09. So that gives me, let me show you that on the screen, so you see how I'm going to round it. So that is 167.74 divided by 1.09. That's what it gives me. It gives me 153.8899.083. They said round it to the nearest cent. That means it's going to be x equals 152.89 cents. So that's what we have. So 153.89. You round up 1 unit and to the nearest cent, that's what it is. So $153.89 he paid for this. Okay, well, that's the first part of this video. We're going to continue in problem 7 on the next video.